Hi everyone, Emily here from Emily Reads, and happy Halloween. So I am filming this on Halloween, and so I hope you are enjoying a safe and fun celebration. I am a school teacher at a high school. Let me tell you, it's been a wild last 2 days. I am ready for Saturday to come. It cannot come soon enough. Got one more day to get through. But I have a huge pile of possibilities here. You can't see it, it's off camera, but I've got a kitchen chair next to me, and I've got two big stacks of books next to me. Because what I'm doing is I am going to be participating in Winterathon hosted by Rainy Blue Reads. And she's got a bingo board set up, and this runs for November and December. So I've picked books for both months. And then I'm also participating in Bucket Listathon, which is November 15th to December 15th, and Danni Dables does that. I'll try to make sure to put their channels or mention their channels down below so you can go check out their channels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the prompts for Winterathon and show you what books I've selected for those, and then kind of explain to you the board that I made for Bucket Listathon, and hopefully that I'll be able to read those books during November 15th through December 15th. It's been an interesting year for me. So I have become a very heavy mood reader, and what mood will work for me at the moment. So we shall see. I can tell you right now I'm going to show you something really quickly. So for the Winterathon bingo board, so I printed it out, and then on the side I wrote all the prompts, and then in pencil I wrote what books I am planning on reading. It's already changed. So from the time that I wrote this. So, but I write it in pencil so that way if I need to change it around, I can. And then when I finish the book, I'll erase the pencil and write it in with pen. And that's how I keep track of what I'm reading. There's no way that I'll read all these. It's a huge pile of books for 2 months worth. There's no way I can do that. So even with being a teacher and having winter break and 5 days off at Thanksgiving. But let's get started. So number one, TBR Vet. I've been meaning to read this for quite some time since I finished Oathbringer, and that is Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the novella that falls in between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War in the Stormlight Archive series. So I have to read this so that way I could keep making progress with Stormlight Archives, especially since I still need to read Rhythm of War, and I want to read Lost Metal before I can read Wind and Truth. And Wind and Truth is coming out in December. No way am I going to read all of those books before Wind and Truth, because then if that were the case, that would mean that basically November and December is going to be solely devoted to Brandon Sanderson. And I really do love Brandon Sanderson, but I don't want to spend a whole 2-month period devoted to one author. Then for a thrifted book, and I'm sorry, I forgot to also mention. So how I'm doing the bingo board is I'm just going to go left to right, top to bottom. Okay, so this is all the first row. The next prompt is a thrifted book, and that is The Secret of the Old Mill by Franklin W. Dixon. It's book 3 in the Hardy Boy series. I'm loosely participating in the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, and we've had to do a book that you can find at a garage sale. I actually found this at an estate sale. I'm counting it as thrifted because I didn't buy it at a used bookstore. I found it at a cheaper price, and you'll see, like, I've tried to put some lighter reads in the mix of some chunker reads, which a chunker is coming up next. So the next book to read is over 400 pages. 11/22/63 by Stephen King. I have been wanting to read this for quite some time. I tried it before, DNF'd it, now I'm back at it, and I have already started it on page 88. So the goal for me in getting through this book in November is I could read 20, if I read 24 pages a day, and then I'll be able to finish it by the end of November. So the goal is, well, if I'm struggling through it, then just read those 24 pages, read a quicker, faster paced moving book, so that way I can feel like I'm making really good progress with my reading. Then for multi POV, the prompt that I'm going to use, or the book that I'm going to use for that prompt, is Assistant to the Villain. Don't have the book to show it to you. I'm using it off of KU, and that is for, I'm in a virtual book club, and that's one of our book club picks. A new to you author, A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. I've not read anything by her, so she will definitely be new to me. A lot of these authors would technically be new to me that I have on my TBR, so who knows what I'll use, but I do want to read this, especially since it also fits in for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. I was supposed to read a book that came out in August, September, I think whenever this came out, and it was supposed to be the month that it releases, and I'm like, well, if you're in the middle of a reading slump, which I was in September, things just weren't working for me. So here we go. Oh, and that's The Sorceress Comes to Call is like a retelling of the Goose Girl. I have not read the Goose Girl, so I might see if I could find a copy of that and read that as well. Then in the second row, A Friend Wreck, and I'm interpreting friend for me as some booktubers. A lot of friends that I have, they don't read a whole lot. So I'm going to be reading Kernel of Truth by Christy Abbott. And this is the first book it's a popcorn shop mystery. So about a woman who is opening a gourmet shop after she's in a failed marriage to a celebrity chef. She's ready for her life to open up and expand. So she's returning to her hometown of Grand Lake, Ohio. And then a family friend, Coco Biddles, owns the chocolate shop next door, but then her niece is discovered on the floor of her chocolate shop. And so Rebecca is looking into that murder. All right, and then the next book is the highest rated book on your Goodreads. So here's the deal. I sorted my highest rated book on Goodreads, and then as I was looking, some of them were either like in series that were too far down the line for me to read, or like I'd have to read a few more books before I could get to that book, or it was like when I saw like it's a book that I want to read, but I'm like, I'm not November, December. Like just it wasn't, I knew it wasn't going to work for me. So it still is high up there. It's in like the top 10 or 20. And that would be Legacy by Shannon Messenger, which this is book 8 in Keeper of the Lost Cities. It is a chunkier book, but they move really fast. It's a fast-paced middle grade. I've been really enjoying it. Book 9.5 comes out November or December. I can't remember which, but I have to read 8, 8.5, and then 9 before I can read the next one. So I want to keep moving with the series. If you're not familiar with it, it's a middle grade series. Sophie, she is an elf, and she's raised by humans, and she doesn't realize that she's an elf until she's like 12 or 13 years old, and someone comes to her and says, hey, you know, like how you're able to read people's minds and how you don't feel like you fit in, that's because you're not human, you're an elf. So let's have you come to the elven world and learn what it means to be an elf. And she learns soon that, or she learns rather quickly that things aren't always as good as they appear to be in the elven world. So I've been enjoying the series. So there's that. Then one is a 5-star prediction. Air by Sabat Tahir. Now, this was a pre-order and I was planning on reading this when I got my hands on it. I got to page 58 and my brain just was not handling it. Had started reading Dracula and this at the same time, and that was not a wise decision because there's a lot of brain power for Dracula, and then this requires some brain power. I loved Ember in the Ashes. Like, Ember in the Ashes to me is the best YA series that I've read, above Harry Potter, sorry, my temporary crown is just driving me bonkers. So Ember in the Ashes is above Harry Potter, above Hunger Games, and I adore Hunger Games. Ember in the Ashes is the best YA series I've read. Does take place in the world from Ember in the Ashes. Characters from Ember in the Ashes appear in this book. So if you have not read that series, you need to read that series, because otherwise, if you read this and then go back and say like, oh, I've read the first Ember in the Ashes and then I just haven't finished it, go back and finish it, because this book will spoil key events that happened in the first series. And so you won't have that impact. So I am so looking forward to this. I think this is going to be great. Then the next book is White Cover. This is where things get a little tricky for me. It is Nonfiction November, so I picked a nonfiction book. I might have to switch that out depending on my brain, my just how things are going at school and mental health. I might switch out for Ghost Story, which is my next book that I need to read in the Dresden Files. But I do also want to read Under the Banner of Heaven by Jon Krakauer, which cults just fascinate me. And like the psychology behind cults is just fascinating to me. And so this is a book that looks into two men, like two brothers, who are from an extreme Mormon fundamentalist group who believed that they received a command from God to kill a woman and her baby girl. And then it just looks into this. So I've heard phenomenal things about this book. So I do need to read this at some point in time. Then indie or self-published, I have a chunker. Sword of Kagan by M.L. Wong. And I've just heard fantastic things about this book. And this is about from what I understand, it's about a woman who then has to go back and like, I thought it was, I could be wrong. Okay, so it's about Misaki, who she is married and she has a child. And she used to be like a fighter, and she's like, I'm done with it because now I'm married and have a child. But she then is like brought back into the world and having to like help protect her home from an invasion. I don't know. I've heard it was great. So then the next book is newest addition to shelf. So a book that you've recently acquired. I don't have that to show because today I purchased it and it's coming to me. So I read earlier this year What the River Knows, and I plan on reading that sequel. So looking forward to that. Then the next book is set during winter. I mean, technically this is set during all the seasons, but I think of winter when I think of this book. And this is Little Women by Lucy Maud. Oh my gosh, I almost said Lucy Maud Montgomery. Louisa May Alcott. Both excellent writers. But I got this edition when I was a little girl, so it's kind of worse for the wear. There's like, I mean, you can see there's beat up, like you can see the cover is scuffed, and marked, but it has these beautiful illustrations. Like, look at that. It's so beautiful. Let me find an earlier one. But I think of Christmas time when I think of this book. So here's another one. Look at that. So my mother gave this book to me when I was a little girl for Christmas. And I remember watching two different versions of Little Women with her as a little girl. We watched there's one with Katharine Hepburn, and then there's one with Janet Leigh and Elizabeth Taylor. So we watched those two. And then, of course, in 95, when the Winona Ryder version came out, and Christian Bale, we watched that one in the movie theater. But every holiday season, I watch 5 different versions of Little Women. So I watched the two, like the one with Katharine Hepburn, the one with Janet Leigh, the Winona Ryder one, the most recent one with Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet, and then PBS did a recent one. So I read this several times as a little girl and in middle school, high school, but like I have not read this as an adult. I've tried to read this as an adult recently, but I have not finished it. So I want to read this again. And it's also meaningful. My mother, not only did she love Little Women, she loved Christmas was her favorite holiday, but my mother passed away on Christmas Day. So just all these memories and just wanting to finally reread it again. All right, then where did I go off? Winter. Then on the Winterathon bingo, there's a free space. I'm using it as a full-on free space. I'm not reading a book because I have too much. Then the next one is Animal on a Cover. And here's where I'm not going for a chunky book. And that is Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting. There's a cute little dog right there, and I'm counting it. It took me a while to think of like what book has an animal on the cover. Finally, I figured it out. But this one she's Iona. She commutes every day. She's she's an advice columnist, and one day on her commute, you're on your commute when you're riding the train into work. Everyone kind of keeps to themselves. I used to commute into downtown Chicago for work, and I would sit and read my books. Didn't talk to anyone. Try not to make eye contact. And one day on her commute, someone almost passes away, and that kind of brings everyone together, from what I understand. Then the next book is Under 300 Pages. I thought for sure this would have an animal on a cover, and it does not. But that would be The Cat Who Saw Red. You would think cat, there would be a cat on the cover. There is not. But this is for sure under 300 pages. In fact, it is under 200 pages at 180 something pages. It's the 4th book in the series. And so I'm not going to say much about that. But Quillerin is our protagonist. He is a newspaper writer, kind of down on his luck, trying to rebuild his career. And he has 2 Siamese cats who are very intelligent and help him solve murders. So then the next prompt is Snow on the Cover, and that would be Frozen River by Ariel Lawton. Y'all, I keep hearing that I need to read this book. I keep wanting to it, and it gets shoved aside for other things. But this is a historical novel about a midwife, and someone dies. Oh no, there's a murder. A man is discovered in the river, and it's like, what? Why is he dead? And this is based actually on a true to life midwife. And the author, there's a very fascinating interview with the author on What Should I Read Next podcast. I don't know what episode number it is, but it was very fascinating, her whole process in writing this book, researching it, and just the implications of women as midwives and how they were not taken seriously, of course, because they're women, and men just know more, right? No, of course not. But this is historical. That's their viewpoints. From an author you've loved before, I was trying to find something so I was picking books that I needed to read also for reading challenges that I've been very lacking in progress, and also looking for shorter books on this one. And so I'm picking Agatha Christie, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This would actually fit for the 52 Book Club, book by a neurodivergent author, as she was dyslexic. It is believed, and I've loved And Then There Were None, and Death on the Nile, and did I read? No, I did not read Murder on the Orient Express. I've only read 3 books by Agatha Christie, and I loved 2. Halloween Party, I was less than thrilled by, but I've heard that that's one of her weakest ones. So I need to go back and read her Poirot series from the beginning, and this is his first one. So then starting a series. I mean, I could have used this one for author I've loved before as well, but it fits better for starting a series, I feel like, and that would be Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So I have to prioritize this because I'm going to have a hair appointment in December, and I hooked my hairdresser on ACOTAR. Like, I was reading it, and she started reading it, and then she's been reading all of Throne of Glass. And like last time I saw her, she was on book 5 of Throne of Glass. And I haven't started it. So it's time. I need to do that. And then we can start talking about Throne of Glass during my hair appointments. Then the next book is Weapon on the Cover. And again, I had like 5 Broken Blades I could have used, but I was trying for short. Percy Jackson, and this is The Titan's Curse. So this is book 3 in the original series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. He's got a sword in his hand. So I'm not going to go into Percy Jackson. We all know who he is, I feel like. Then the next one is BIPOC author. This one I for sure need to read it in November, as this is Krista's over at Books and Jams, her Patreon pick for the month, and that is Mexikid. And this is a middle grade graphic memoir by Pedro Martin. And I don't know, he was born in the U.S. to Mexican parents. And I will read it. I'm looking forward to trying something new. I don't really typically read graphic novels. Actually, last month was the first graphic novel that I've read. I've tried graphic novels before, and they are challenging for me to read because there's so much to look at that I don't know where to look first. But I do see the value and the importance, and I do greatly appreciate graphic novels and how they help reluctant readers and struggling readers to engage in reading. So, and then the next prompt is continue a series. We're going to feel ambitious. I might start this towards the end of December. Rhythm of War. It is time. I'm really nervous about this book because I just have a feeling that some people are going to start dying in this book. Like, I have this feeling. So I'm really nervous about this book. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be okay. Then another prompt is a reread. I am working on Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. So that is a possibility. I'm halfway through it. So that for sure is a possibility. Or this also is a possibility. This is Elski by Cynthia Voigt. This is the 4th book in a series. I can't remember. It's like the Kingdom series. I don't know. But it's a young adult series, and this book is, I read this years ago when it first came out. And it says 12 and up, but I feel like there's some pretty mature themes in this, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't really remember too much about it, but I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I read that years and years ago, like more than 2 decades ago. So then for the Winterathon, the next bingo spot is Buddy Read, read the Buddy Read Guild. So everyone's going to be reading Guild on her Discord. I have no desire to read Guild, so I'm just skipping that prompt. That's okay. So I'm not going to have a blackout on the board. I mean, I knew I probably wouldn't have a blackout anyway because my books are chonky and it's holiday season and I'm a teacher and I've got finals. I've got 4 different finals to create and grade. It's not going to happen. That's okay. And last but not least is Magical Creatures. This time, I'm hoping to read this in November simply because I feel like this is more of a November fall-y vibe book than December. December technically is still fall. Like, it is still fall until December 21st. But for me, like winter just seems to start in December, even though we really don't get winter weather here in central Illinois until like January, February, March. But to me, I feel like a witch is a magical creature. And I have a witch in here. So that's the Winterathon bingo board. This video is getting long. So what I did for my bucket listathon, this is from Danni Dables. So here's the board. So I'm going to just kind of walk you through my rolls super quick, if I can find the thing. So I decided to do hard mode, and then I decided to start at the physical TBR. And the rule is if you start with hard mode, you have to roll, I can't remember how many times. You have to roll 10 rolls. You have to visit all 4 corners. 50% of your reads have to be from the starting category. So for me was physical reads. And then if you land on the same color 3 times, then you have to have an additional roll, which I had to do that twice. Okay, so let me talk you through like how this went down. So I started at physical TBR, and then I rolled a 3. So I went 1, 2, 3. So this was a community card prompt, and I drew a community card that I had printed out, and the prompt was sprints. So basically, participate in bucket listathon sprints. Cool, easy. Then I rolled a 1, so I landed right here on new releases. I'm assuming that's a spot. I thought that's how I interpreted the board, that this was a spot. So new release would be air. Then I rolled a 4, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, what did I do? No, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went to, so I got here, and the prompt was favorite author. And I went and I looked at, I tried to match what I had already written down for a Winterathon with this. So I decided for favorite author, the book I would use would be Air by Sabaa Tahir. Yes, I love Brandon Sanderson. Sabaa Tahir, I would say, is one of my favorite YA authors. So that's why I chose that. Then I rolled a 1, and I went there, add a roll. So now I have to roll 11 times. Then I rolled a 3. So 1, 2, 3. Intimidating read. And that was 11, 22, 63. Then I rolled a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I needed a comfort read, And because I passed by series, it also had to be in a series. So that would be Hardy Boys, the Hardy Boys books. And then I rolled a 2, so 1, 2. And Danni explained the life spot, or the life um, prompt as like, do whatever you need to do to help you through life in November, December. So I chose that as I'm not going to pick a book because I already have so many books that I already have to read. Then I rolled a 1, which was a friend rec, which that is the popcorn shop mystery book. And I don't know, I don't know. I was keeping track too of my colors. And just so you're aware, I landed on the same color 3 times, twice. So I landed on 2 different colors 3 times, twice. So that meant that and then along with the Adderall, that means that I rolled 13 times. Fun times. There's no way I'm going to read 13 books in a month's period. I'm not. Unless it were like summertime, but not during the school year. But we can try. So then I rolled another 1, a treat for you. And I laid down a treat for you. And so I interpreted that as a book that would be a treat and fun for me to read. And that is Throne of Glass, because I'm really looking forward to starting that series. Then I rolled a 6. So where did I go? One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I went this way. So I did a treat for you. Where is that? No, I lost it. Come on now. Okay. A treat for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new releases. And so that's either going to be Air or the sequel to What the River Knows. That's arriving from Book of the Month. Then I rolled a 3, so 1, 2, 3. No, I did 1, 2, 3 new purchase, and that would be Mexikid. And then I rolled another 3, so 1, 2, 3 paperback edition. That would be The Cat Who. And then I rolled a 2, 1, 2 to TBR, and that would be Assistant to the Villain, because I do need to read that for I just lost it. My virtual book club. Wow. Phew. So that is all. Thank you for the long haul of this video. It's a lot of books, and again, we'll see. Again, for the Winterathon, it covers a pile of possibilities for 2 months. So that's why it's a lot of books. There's no way I'm going to read all of these in November. So stay tuned and watch me at the end of November to see what of these did I read in November and what will I then read in December. Because this is such a long video, and because this Winterathon covers November and December, I don't know if I will be releasing a December TBR then. If I do, it would be because I do want to participate in Winterathon, which Eric over at Break Even Books does every year. So if I can match the books that I want to read to the prompts for that readathon, then I will also be participating in that, because it's a fun holiday themed readathon. As always, please like, please subscribe, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps my channel grow, and I hope you have a safe and fun Halloween. Bye.